Hi everybody, Professor Martin here. I hope you're doing okay. We're at the point in accounting now where we've learned to make journal entries, and that's fun and exciting and all that, but with great power comes great responsibility, and we need to make sure that we're doing our journal entries correctly. So what I have for you here today, just real quick, are a few tips, journal entry do's and don'ts to help us make sure that our journal entries are a-okay. So we had a sample transaction here that I'm going to work through. On January 5, Gray Company borrowed $5,000 in cash from the bank on a note payable. Now, every time you begin to analyze a transaction, you need to start thinking about what accounts are in play. That's really the first part of analyzing a transaction and making a journal entry. So as you read through there, Gray Company borrowed $5,000 cash. So you should be thinking that the cash account's in play here. Is it going up or is it going down? Now, if we're getting money, we're borrowing money, obviously the cash account needs to go up. So how did we get that money? Where is it coming from? We got it from the bank on a note payable. Note payable, we owe the bank money now. We have a liability. So really you need to start developing that thought process of being able to look at a transaction and pick out what accounts are in play. Because if you don't know what accounts are in play, you can't do a journal entry. So after you do that, you got the accounts in your head, you're ready to kind of start to make that entry. You need to date your transaction. And I don't mean that to sound kinky or weird. We're simply putting a date in for when that transaction happened. In our example, the transaction occurred on January 5. So for the date, we put January 5, 1/5. Now, sometimes you'll see people want to put dates in every line. You don't need to do that. You don't need to put dates in every line. You just need to put it on the line where the transaction begins. So you always want to make sure that you date your transaction. And you also want to make sure that you put your debits on top. Debits go on top, credits go on the bottom. So in our transaction that we had, cash would be our debit because we're trying to make that account go up. We got money coming in. We need to make the cash account go up. Cash is on that left-hand side of the accounting equation under assets, so it goes up on the left-hand or the debit side. $5,000. There's our credit to note payable, $5,000. Debits on the top, credits on the bottom, indented a little bit. And we also want to use account titles. We want to make sure that we're using the account titles that are on the general ledger. I got a cash account. I got an inventory account, equipment account, note payable account, and a common stock account. As we go on in accounting class, we will add other accounts. So we want to make sure that we're using the real account titles and nothing else. Sometimes we'll also see all those listed out in something called the chart of accounts. Okay, so that's basically what we're going to be writing into that journal entry for the accounts. Has to come from real account titles, from the general ledger, or from the chart of accounts. And we do want to include a description. The description is not part of the actual account. It's not getting put to any kind of a ledger account. It's just something that tells us what the transaction was trying to accomplish or what we were doing. So here you can see borrowed cash from bank. So thumbs up, all those are things that you should be doing when you make a journal entry. But let's talk about those things that you should not be doing. Don't do them. Don't put your credits on top. And you might look at that and say, man, this guy is a stickler for accounting. He wants certain things on top, certain things on the bottom. It's not just me. The reason we put debits on top and credits on the bottom is it makes it easier to read. If we put the debit on the bottom here, you notice how you kind of have the credit over here, and then it just makes it a lot harder to read if you have multiple journal entries. So the convention has always been debit on the top and the credits on the bottom. So don't put your credits on top. It makes it very hard to read. And please do not use descriptions in place of account titles. And a second ago I mentioned only use account titles. This is the bad side of that coin. So what I'm saying is don't put stuff like got cash from the bank, borrowed money from the bank. Those aren't account titles. Those are descriptions. And we don't want descriptions in for an account title. We just want to use the account. Probably the number one mistake that I see people in accounting, especially early on as they're trying to learn, do is they will want to cram an entire description in for an account. Got money from the customer. Paid cash for whatever. Don't do that. It's just cash. It's no payable. Don't put a description in for the account. Don't ever, ever, ever make an entry with unequal debits and credits. And I feel a little bit like the Gremlins movie where I'm giving you 3 things to keep the Mogwai from turning into an awful gremlin. Don't make your accounting turn into journal entry gremlins here. We want to keep the journal entries safe. And we don't want to make entries with unequal debits and credits. Okay, and what I mean by that, our rule is going to always be, when you make a journal entry, it has to have equal dollar amounts of debit and credit. We can have 2 credits and 1 debit. That's fine. We can have 10 debits and 1 credit. The idea is in dollar amount, they have to equal. So here we can see we got $5,000 on the debit side. We got $15,000 on the credit side. That is not equal. Okay? If you make a journal entry, I don't give many guarantees in life. I'll give you this guarantee. If you make a journal entry and your debit and credit dollar amounts are not equal, you're wrong. 100% every time, no doubt about it. Take it to the bank, you're wrong. No argument. Okay? You cannot do that. Don't make a journal entry with unequal debits and credits. And one more, don't make me lose any more hair. We show you how to make a journal entry. I'll tell you what not to do. And then every now and then, I still get stuff that looks like this. I don't know what the heck this is. People will put the word total. They'll total up the columns. They'll write words in where numbers are supposed to go. Don't do that. Don't make me lose any more hair. I'm going to measure my hairline. It's right here at the beginning of January. It better be in the same place at the end of May, or at the beginning of May when we're finished up. Okay? So don't do what you're looking at on the screen right there. If you're lost, if you need help, I'm here. Let's talk. Let's figure it out together. Don't just try to wildcat it and throw a bunch of stuff down and hope it's correct. Let's try to do it right. So those are my journal entry do's and don'ts. Again, if you have questions, let's talk about them. Reach out to me. I'd be happy to help. And we'll jump into our next chapter with a few other different videos. So we'll see you there.